Let's do this. Let's go live in the morning. Normally I don't go live in the mornings. Also, I was feeling like I needed just this like sparkle going on. I was feeling sparkly. So let's do it. I never got a chance to go live yesterday. I apologize, guys. So I'm going live this morning. I wanted to make sure I could get going before we lost all the questions or the answer or whatever. I asked you guys to answer me with some questions. So let's just get started. Feel free to ask your questions here in the live as well. And we can go from there. This looks great. It makes me look like I have makeup on and lashes. It's awesome. Okay. Is the Secret Society a dating site? No, it's not a dating site. We have had people meet. We've had people date. Of course, it's just the way to meet people. But what it is, it's an online community for people living with herpes. It's a 24-hour. It sounds 24-hour. It's a social site. It's not held on a social media platform to keep it safe. Keep trolls from getting out of there, things like that. So it is an online platform for people living with herpes. I have people from all over the world, many different languages, all sorts of fun stuff like that. So I would love to see you in there. We do weekly calls. We do calls Mondays. We do Monday morning and Monday evening. It's part of the community. You get to jump on, ask whatever questions you want, talk to other members in the group. I've had so many people become really good friends. People have met up from all over the world. So it's a great little community. Thanks for asking that, Dev. Have you heard of Valacyclovir giving people rashes or hives? No, I personally haven't. Perhaps you have stress going on that could be causing contact dermatitis, or there's something else going on. No, I haven't heard of that. Of course, if you have that reaction, or go see a dermatologist or a doctor, or ask the pharmacist what's going on with that. Did I do IVF because of HSV? No. IVF, just to make sure, because not everyone knows what IVF is. IVF is in vitro fertilization. So it's when they create an embryo outside basically in a petri dish, and then they insert your little embryo inside of you. And no, we did not do it because of herpes. We did it just the sperm and the egg weren't meeting. They weren't meeting up, so we had to make it happen. Yeah, that's why. How did you start dating again after leaving your long-term partner who accepted your herpes diagnosis? Yeah, so how did I start dating? I realized I wasn't in the right relationship for me. I was with that guy for about 2 years. I was turning 30, and I realized it just wasn't the right relationship for me. So one of the things I started doing was I had to rebuild my confidence because it was pretty low. And I realized I had to change. I had to change what I was doing. So I completely changed basically everything in my life drastically. I moved, I changed my wardrobe. I did a lot of things. But again, one of the things I realized was I was going to say yes to anybody that asked me out. So even if I didn't like the guy, I still went on a date to see if I could learn something about him or myself. I felt like every time I went on a date, I learned something. And there would be guys that I didn't necessarily initially like, and then I'd go on a date and I'd be like, actually, you're pretty cool. Or I would have never thought that I would have liked you based on these exterior characteristics, prejudging, right? And then you go on a date with them, you're like, wow, I didn't realize this characteristic was something I really liked or was interested in. So I just said yes. And I realized that I didn't need to disclose that I had herpes unless I was going to expose them. And I think that's something that gets us, keeps us at the threshold is, oh my gosh, I'm going on a date and I have to disclose, and what am I going to do and what's going to happen? I just realized I was just going for coffee, or I was just going for an ice cream, or I was meeting someone after work for a glass of wine, that I don't need to disclose. Yeah. So it's when the intentions go someplace else, or you feel your relationship is getting someplace, but a cup of coffee is a cup of coffee, right? Herpes doesn't need to be a part of it. And I know that's what holds us back. That's why I stayed in the relationship for 2 years. I'm not gonna tell anyone I have herpes. Are you kidding me? No one's gonna accept me. It's total BS. Do you need to tell your tattoo artist you have genital HSV1? I would say the only reason why I would tell them is if they ask you, yeah, right? So you don't want to lie. I'm going on a girls trip in a week, and we're getting massages, and I had to fill out the health form now. and they asked me if I had, they put it on the questionnaire twice. Do you have herpes? And do you get frequent cold sores? They had it twice. So I, of course, answered it correctly. And because depending on where I get outbreaks, I could potentially expose them. So some people get outbreaks, they have genital herpes, but not in their genitals. So it's like around their belly button, or on their butt, or on their thighs, or things like that. So I could potentially expose someone. So I would say, back to your tattoo artist question, if you're going to expose the tattoo artist to the area in which you're infected, then yeah, I would probably disclose that. But they're also going to be wearing gloves. The only reason why I might also, I have a friend that got she had her lips tattooed, and she has oral herpes. And so they asked her that if you have it, you need to take the antiviral prior to getting your lips done, because if you get an outbreak and they tattoo it, it'll just like spread and it'll be an awful outbreak, right? So again, if they ask, disclose. If you have questions or concern, ask or disclose, and go from there. Does that answer your question about tattoos? Do I share clothes? Can you share clothes if you have herpes? Of course. I personally am not a sharer. All my friends know that. I hate sharing. I hate sharing food, any of that stuff. But yeah, you totally can. It's just like, if you have herpes, can you go to a dressing room and try clothes on? Well, of course you can, right? There's a few like just personal rules that I do, and I also kind of follow it for my period. Like if I'm on my period, I don't like, if it's like a heavy day or something, I don't really try on clothes. But if I have an outbreak, I won't try on clothes if the outbreak is exposing the area. So I just that's just like kind of my rule. If the outbreak is like not going to be exposed to the area, meaning like, that doesn't make sense. If the clothes aren't going to come in contact with the outbreak, then yeah, I don't worry about it. But if the outbreak area could potentially, like your underwear moves and things like that, like if it's going to come in contact with the clothes, then no, I don't try them on. But back to your question, can you share clothes? Of course you can. Is it safe to go to the water park with herpes? Of course. Oh my gosh, don't miss out on like the slippery mega slide, or the wave machine, or the like circle, the tube things where you go around the like lazy river. Like, don't miss out on that because you have herpes. Absolutely not. Like, go have fun. It does not spread in the water. With genital herpes, HSV1, how likely is it for you to give your partner through oral sex? I don't know. That statistic isn't necessarily out there. I would say that it's just as likely as any other, like it's just as likely as, what's your chance of transmitting it if you had oral HSV1 to somebody kissing them orally? What's that percent? I don't know. So again, it goes back to, are you on the antiviral? Do you have an outbreak? How long have you had it? All of those factors play in. I would say that you and your partner need to, if you're not going to use protection, you and your partner need to get to the point of like, this may or may not happen, but it's not going to control our life, right? You just can't lead with it. The guy I like is waiting on his results. What can I say to comfort him? Waiting on his results from you, or just in general? Like, have you guys slept together? I would say, right now you can't say anything until you know the answers, until you know the results. I would just wait to see if they come back. If he was just exposed to the virus, it may take a long time to get a result back. So the doctor, you slept together. Okay, so if you slept together, unless he has an outbreak, his results aren't going to be accurate, because it can take up to 6 months to get antibodies. So, usually it's within a couple of weeks, but it could take up for a long time. So the good news is, if he is getting tested right now and he's never been tested, now you'll know like where you're starting from. Like if he tests positive and you just came in contact with him like the last 7 days, it's pretty impossible for those antibodies to be from you, right? It might mean that he already has it. I wasn't having an outbreak, but now he is worried and is kind of breaking out. We'll just have to wait and see what the doctors come back with. I would just say wait to see what the doctors have to say. You don't know anything until you know anything. There's no reason to freak out. Freaking out doesn't help the situation because you're freaking out over something that hasn't occurred yet. If you don't have HSV1 outbreak on your lip, is it safe to share drinks? So here's the thing about herpes. So when you don't, so you are only contagious if you have an outbreak or if the virus is shedding. So if you have no outbreak and technically you would not transmit herpes, but there is this like little gray area of the virus shedding. And when the virus sheds, you don't know when the virus is shedding. You don't know when it's happening. So it is potentially possible that you could transmit it, but everybody has it. So it's really hard to pinpoint that one. Do I share drinks? I don't, but that's just because I'm like a germaphobe. I share drinks with my family, but I don't share drinks with like friends. I share drinks with family. Like if someone's like, oh my gosh, this margarita is so good, taste it. I'm like, I'm cool, thanks. That's just me though. That has nothing to do with herpes. I would say there's nothing wrong with that. If you're like, oh, try my margarita, like everybody has oral herpes. That's the thing. Like we don't realize that. We think that like we're the only people in the world and everybody has it. The person that's gonna have a sip of your margarita or beer or Coca-Cola or whatever has already come in contact with herpes at some point in your life. Tips or suggestions for first genital outbreaks on antivirals. Tips or suggestions for first genital outbreak. So number one, I would say take a break. I would say take an Epsom salt bath. I would say relax. I would say if you're mad, feel that pain, feel that anger, cry. If you need a hug, go get a hug. So feel whatever you're feeling. I would say definitely an Epsom salt bath helps. If you've been prescribed antivirals, I would take those immediately. They really, really help and they work really well. You've been pumping with Lysine. Yeah, make sure you get Lysine. Lots of Epsom salts. Okay, you're doing that. However, you seem to get a new blister daily. Yeah, that's pretty common in the beginning. Your body is like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know how to live with this. What am I doing? So I would say Lysine, antiviral bath. If you want to topically put Lysine on your outbreak topically, that also helps. We have Lysine in our Secret Society wellness products. So that is helpful. They have Lysine on them or in them. We also have CBD, which helps with like the nerve pain. It's also an anti-inflammatory, so it does a lot of good stuff like that. But I would say any of those things you're doing what you're doing. You're doing a good job. Stay on the antiviral if you're continuing to get outbreaks. Of course, talk to your physician, but that's what I would do. How many Lysine tablets do you take during the outbreak or just daily? So because you said tablets, I'm guessing you're from the UK. I just learned that's a UK word, tablets. We just say how many pills. You've done that and ordered the SOAR products. Okay, good. Thank you. You just wasn't sure if there's anything else. I would say potentially watch your diet, look for some trigger foods. If you subscribe to Life with Herpes, there should be a document when you subscribe, like my 9 favorite over-the-counter home remedies, or I forget exactly what it's titled, but there is a whole, 3 pages worth of Lysine, information on Lysine and arginine. I would try and cut out the arginine and add extra Lysine to your diet. Okay, so how many Lysine tablets should you be taking during an outbreak and just daily? So daily, I would say minimum 1,000. If you have an outbreak, go up to about 3,000 milligrams. We have the SOAR supplements and I love them. Daily is about 1,500 milligrams. And the way it's designed is you take it in the morning and at night, so you have it both. Did your assistant talk to you about improving Secret Society in Germany? I'm trying to think. I don't think so. How do we improve it in Germany? What can we do to help? Whatever we can do. If you need support in Germany, I don't speak German. I did as a child though, but whatever we can do to help. Yeah, let's make Germany happen. Oh, we got lots more questions. How did my parents react? They had a hard time with my diagnosis, of course. You know, they weren't happy about it, of course. They were probably more scared for me, like, because of the stigma. Like, well, is my daughter ever going to get married? Is she going to be okay? All of that. So yeah, I'm sure that was hard for them. How long did it take you to fully accept that you had herpes? It took me about 2 years. 2 years was my thing. 2 years. Will you ever tell Clinton? Of course I'll tell Clinton. There's no way I can't tell Clinton, right? It's all over the internet. You know, absolutely I'll tell him, and we'll have talks about safe sex, and he'll know, and he can make his own decision. However he wants to proceed with that when he's old enough to proceed. Can you still shed when you're on the antiviral? Yes, but it significantly cuts down the shedding. Significantly, by 48%. How did I meet my husband? We used to work together. So I knew him before I had herpes. I knew him when I got diagnosed with herpes. I knew him for about like 6 years before we dated. Can you spread HSV to other areas, even with antibodies? If you have the antibodies, you can't reinfect yourself with the same virus, which is the beauty of antibodies. So no. Did you any update info on the HSV vaccine? I don't have any information on that. I don't. Before you got married, how many guys did you disclose to that rejected you? There was one that rejected me that I kind of liked. I don't know if it was because of herpes. I really have no idea. I definitely wanted more of a relationship, and he didn't. He's still single, right? So that was like, when was that? That was like 2012, right? For almost like 10 years, you know, like it's 9 years ago. So he's still single. So who knows? Do you, and also that there were other guys that rejected me. I really can't remember their details. And that was fine. I didn't want to go on a date with them anyways. But there was like one that was like, oh, bummer. Oh, it was kind of fun because I saw him at a wedding, and he was like, he walked up to me and he's like, yeah, I made a big mistake. I'm like, you did, but I'm happier without you. So, do you know if of anyone who has a false positive or swab of an outbreak or index 2? So if you have a swab of the outbreak and it's a positive, it's positive. It's easy to get a swab and have it be negative, but actually be positive, which means that they swabbed too soon or swabbed the wrong area or swabbed after the outbreak had healed. But if you've got a positive from the swab, it's positive, unfortunately. Sorry to tell you. Low index of positive swab, but negative blood test for genital herpes. What should I do? So again, the blood test can take up to several months in order for your blood test to be positive. So if it is a negative blood test but a positive swab, you would have herpes. And it would probably be you were just recently diagnosed with it or just recently got it. So yeah. All right, guys, I am going to go. I'm going to try and get another one in today because I promised you one yesterday. But anyways, I hope you're having a great day. Bye, guys. Thanks for joining. I'll see you soon. Bye.